Confronting the Gaps in Evolution, a call for honest inquiry and open-mindedness. The theory of evolution, first proposed by Charles Darwin in the 19th century, remains one of the most widely accepted scientific theories to explain the diversity of life on Earth. However, like any scientific theory, evolution is not without its gaps and misconceptions. Failing to address these gaps and misconceptions can lead to misunderstandings and a reluctance to engage in meaningful debate. It is essential to confront these issues head-on to pursue truth and foster a genuine understanding of the natural world. The gaps and misconceptions in evolution, as it stands today, is supported by a substantial body of evidence from various fields such as genetics, paleontology, and comparative anatomy. Yet there are still areas where the evidence is incomplete, leading to legitimate questions and ongoing debates. Some of these gaps and misconceptions include the origin of life. The theory of evolution explains how life diversifies and changes over time, but it does not address the origin of life itself. The question of how non-living chemical compounds transitioned into living organisms, often referred to as abiogenesis, remains one of the most significant gaps in our understanding. While there are hypotheses, such as the primordial soup model or hydrothermal vent theory, none have been universally accepted or proven, leaving room for further inquiry and speculation. The Cambrian explosion. The Cambrian explosion, which occurred approximately 540 million years ago, is another area that raises questions. During this period, a remarkable diversity of complex organisms appeared in a relatively short span of geological time, with many of the major animal phyla emerging without clear evolutionary precursors in the fossil record. Some critics argue that this sudden burst of life is difficult to explain through the gradual processes of evolution as currently understood. Lack of transitional fossils. While there are numerous examples of transitional fossils that demonstrate evolutionary change, such as Archaeopteryx or Tiktaalik, critics often point out that many supposed gaps in the fossil record still exist. They argue that the missing links between certain groups of organisms are yet to be found or adequately explained. While some of these gaps may be due to the incomplete nature of the fossil record, others suggest the need for further exploration and research. Complexity and irreducible complexity. The concept of irreducible complexity, popularized by proponents of intelligent design, argues that some biological systems, like the bacterial flagellum or the blood-clotting cascade, are too complex to have evolved through gradual, step-by-step evolutionary processes. Critics of evolution claim that such systems require all parts to function simultaneously, and that the incremental changes proposed by evolution cannot account for their existence. Avoiding the issues. Running away from the truth. Ignoring these gaps and misconceptions is not only intellectually dishonest, but also counterproductive to scientific progress. Science thrives on inquiry, debate, and the constant testing of hypotheses against new evidence. When proponents of evolution dismiss these gaps as irrelevant or refuse to engage with legitimate criticisms, they undermine the very foundations of scientific inquiry. Scientific rigor requires addressing gaps. By not addressing the gaps in evolutionary theory, the scientific community risks appearing dogmatic, clinging to a particular view without considering alternative explanations or new evidence. This can lead to a perception that evolution is an unquestionable doctrine rather than a robust scientific theory open to scrutiny and refinement. Encouraging open dialogue. Engaging with criticisms, even those posed by proponents of alternative theories like intelligent design or creationism, can lead to a more nuanced understanding of evolution and the gaps that still exist. It encourages a culture of open dialogue where ideas are debated based on merit rather than dismissed out of hand. Seeking the truth, not defending a dogma. True science is about seeking the truth, wherever that may lead. By confronting the gaps and misconceptions in evolution, scientists and educators can demonstrate a commitment to truth and understanding rather than merely defending a particular viewpoint. This approach can foster greater public trust in science and a more informed populace. The dogmatism of some atheists, a new kind of belief. Interestingly, some atheists, particularly those who identify strongly with scientific materialism, can be as dogmatic in their beliefs as the religious individuals they often critique. This dogmatism sometimes resembles a form of secular religion, where certain tenets, like the absolute truth of evolution as currently understood, are held with unwavering certainty. Dogmatic atheism as a belief system. Some atheists adopt a stance that all phenomena can be explained through naturalistic processes, rejecting even the possibility of the supernatural or intelligent design without considering evidence or arguments to the contrary. This position can become dogmatic when held with absolute certainty and an unwillingness to engage with alternative viewpoints. Rejecting evidence. Without consideration, like any belief system, dogmatic atheism can lead to the dismissal of any evidence that contradicts the prevailing worldview. For instance, if future scientific evidence were to suggest the possibility of intelligent design, some atheists might reject this outright, not because of the evidence's quality, but because it conflicts with their pre-existing beliefs. The irony of atheistic dogmatism. There is an irony in how some atheists, who often criticize religious people for their blind faith, may themselves exhibit a similar kind of faith in science as the ultimate and only arbiter of truth. This stance overlooks the fact that science is a tool for understanding the world, not a doctrine that provides all answers. An open-minded approach requires acknowledging this and being willing to consider new evidence, even if it challenges deeply held beliefs. Conclusion. Embracing honest inquiry. In conclusion, the scientific community must continue to address the gaps and misconceptions in evolutionary theory with honesty and rigor. Avoiding these issues is tantamount to running away from the truth and undermines the very principles of scientific inquiry. At the same time, it is essential to recognize that dogmatism can arise in any belief system, whether religious or secular. True progress in understanding our world comes from an open-minded approach that is willing to question, debate, and most importantly, seek the truth wherever it may lead. By fostering a culture of honest inquiry, we can ensure that our pursuit of knowledge remains robust, dynamic, and inclusive.